Welcome, one and all, to this first episode after this really long hiatus of 3 months that Jen and I have enjoyed. And welcome back to this favorite show of ours, where we honestly try to bring you 9 new stars in the field of ophthalmology and spread them over 9 months. Each time, we'll be discussing something new that they're doing in their practice, and why we believe that they're the experts to watch out for. But before we go ahead and introduce these stars, I'd like to tell you each episode will usually have one rising star and surround them with 3 celebrity panelists. And we know when we talk about these celebrity panelists, they are the ones we have cherished and loved over years. And it is their job to mentor these stars into truly understanding their potential and ensure we as moderators have nothing to do. This is more of an interactive session. So guys in the audience, if you're watching, please throw out your questions in the panel in the chat window, both on the website and YouTube, where we as moderators will pass on the questions to the panelists as well as the star. I would like to mention right now that we're live on risingeyestars.com and YouTube channel called Rising Stars in Ophthalmology. You can also watch our reruns, but only on the website. Please do look out for the social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Rising Eye Stars, where we really give some really good educational snippets from all our episodes. I'd like to thank every one of you for tuning in and thank the sponsors for making this happen. Now, to do the honors, can I please hand over to Jen Lowe so that she can introduce the speakers, panels, and sponsors. Jen, all yours.
Well, thank you so much, Ashman. As always, you give an amazing introduction, and you are right. It's been a nice summer vacation, but we're back in business. So it's an honor to be with everyone tonight virtually. First, before we start announcing our celebrity panelists and our rising stars, I did want to thank our sponsors for this season. And as you can see on our sponsors page, I would like to, again, personally thank Allergan, Alcon, Vices Therapeutics, Dompe, Avellino, Young MD Connect, Sun Ophthalmics, and Tarsus, specifically for your support this season. And without your support, we would not be able to host such a great program. Thank you. And now next, I would like to share my screen and kick off tonight by introducing our rising star, Dr. Brian Shafer, and his celebrity panelists, Dr. John Chang, Dr. Melissa Toyos, and Dr. Roger Zaldivar. So I'd like to say a few words about each person here who's very kindly donating their time tonight. So first up, we have Dr. John Chang. He completed college at the University of Sydney in Australia, medical school at the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, residency at the University of California, fellowship at the University of California in San Francisco. And he is the immediate past president of ISRS and also a clinical associate professor at the University of Hong Kong and the Chinese University of Hong Kong. He's also the director of GHC Refractive Surgery Center. So he comes with a long list of credentials, but even more exciting possibly is that he is involved in professional racing. So Dr. Chang, can you say a few words about what you're doing here with this cool looking sports car?
Oh yeah, I'm a speed freak. So I race cars during in the summertime, and the wintertime I go skiing. So I have a need for speed, like they say in Top Gun.
I like it. Very, very well quoted. Thank you. All right.
Next, going to have John fly some planes as well next.
Yes, that would be a good introduction.
Working on it.
All right. Well, next we have Dr. Melissa Toyos. She did college at Louisiana State University, med school also at LSU, residency at the University of Missouri, And her current position is she's the partner and research director of the Toyos Clinic in Nashville, Tennessee. And I know they have multiple offices. So she is very busy, not only practicing medicine, managing the practices, and being a speaker at the national, international level. And in addition, being a cover girl with her husband for the Memphis Health and Fitness magazine. So this is really, really cool. And you can also do the splits, I understand. So would you like to share a few words about some of these things?
Yeah, I started doing yoga about 20 years ago, and running has been my hobby for many years. So how fun that you were able to drag this up from the internet and I get to see it again.
It's a great photo. It's really cute of you guys.
It's funny.
I like it. That's good. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here as well. And last but not least, we have Dr. Roger Zaldivar, who's not only an MD, but also has an MBA. So he's very well-rounded. He did college at the University of Mendoza in Argentina, medical school as well at the University of Mendoza, residency at the Instituto Zaldivar in Mendoza, and fellowship at the University of Arizona. He is currently the CEO of the Instituto Zaldivar. And so while he's, I'm sure, very, very busy working, he is also skiing, and he loves ski racing. However, he's competed 7 times in the A-Coast Aspen ski race and has not yet beat Bill Trattler or Robert Maloney. So we wanted to hear a few words about this from you directly, Dr. Zaldivar.
So you want to hurt my feelings more than that? Not enough? Yeah.
I have to admit, I have to give, this was Bill Trattler put this little quote up.
No, it's true, it's true. I always say that Bill and Robert Maloney are like wine. They are really getting better every year. They're better and better, and I'm more and more far away from their times. I don't know what the hell they are doing, but I want to know. Good.
Well, thank you. And again, my apologies. That was Bill's idea, not mine. But they are good ski photos. You look very
They're
athletic.
good.
So we like it. Thank you also for being here tonight. All right. So to introduce our our rising star, who's already really a celebrity, but who is Brian Shafer? So Dr. Shafer put together an amazing collage of beautiful photos. We have quite a few to go through, which is very interesting. So would you like to say a few words about some of these photos?
Sure, I'd love to. This is the family photos. So starting top left, this is my wife and her sister and husband and our nephew. Going across, that's our other side of the family. It's my parents on the top right there, and my dad with my son in the middle and my 2 nephews. That's my wife's father on the bottom left holding my son, my sister and her husband, myself and my wife, Morgan, and my dad. And then our Halloween costume with Morgan's brother. We were bees and beekeepers this year.
That's cute. I like that. That's pretty creative. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
It was great. And this is, keep going. Yeah, this
Okay.
right here, this next slide
Is
is my wife, Morgan, my life partner. She and I met when I was in medical school. We got married my first year of residency, and we've gotten to travel the world together and do everything side by side. And she's my best friend.
Aw, that's so cute. And I think I remember seeing a picture one time of you with really long hair, but somehow
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't submit this one. Next time. I like this photo, by the way. I was looking at this engagement series, and it looks like you may have buried her engagement ring in the ground with a carrot.
Yeah,
I'd
so
love to
when
hear about this.
when we were dating, when I was in medical school, one of my favorite hobbies is gardening. And I always told her about how fun it is to grow carrots, because you kind of just broadcast sow them. You just take a handful of the seeds and toss them, and wherever they land, they grow. So we were really excited to have this community garden and grow her first carrot together. And we followed this carrot every single day for months. And it starts off tiny, teeny tiny. It looks like little weeds growing out of the ground. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you just see the green growing, of course. And the day after I graduated from medical school, her parents came up and visited. They live in Houston. And I asked for their blessing, and they were there. So I figured this was the perfect time. But her carrot was still like this big. So I went to the store and bought a real carrot, and I attached the ring to the bottom, buried it in the ground. And at like 5 a.m, I woke up and could not sleep anymore. And I turned to her and I was like, babe, you gotta go see the carrot. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the rain or the worms or what, but you've got to go see your carrot. And she turns and looks at the clock and she's like, seriously? And I was like, yes, it is non-negotiable. So she gets out, we go to the community garden. It was just at the end of our street. And she sees this carrot sticking out of the ground. And she's like, what the heck is this? And I was like, I don't know, but you've got to harvest it. And she goes and pulls it in, and there's the box right there. And she opens it up thinking that there's going to be a ring in it. But actually there was just a tiny little carrot, because I'm not crazy enough to bury an engagement
I
ring.
was just worried about that. I was like, wait, community garden.
And then I got to Ania and asked her to be my forever carrot. And we've been together ever since.
Oh, that's so cute. And I just got the pun about carrots and a diamond. How many carrots is it? That was pretty good.
I also just got that pun, so thank you.
That's pretty witty. That was good. Double entendre. Okay, and this slide is really amazing. I didn't realize you were doing such an amazing job doing a refractive course for OCAPS, which is awesome for Young MD Connect. That's such a great idea.
This was a fun one because as a resident, I had very little exposure to refractive surgery, and it's just not a part of most residency programs in America, at least. And Young MD Connect has made it possible to connect with people from all around the country, residents, medical students, and people early in practice. So this was something that we kind of paired up, and I put together a little lecture one year, and then the next year we did it again, and it's starting to turn into something. And I think it's really special because refractive surgery is its own subspecialty that we just don't have mentorship in residency. But I think that that's starting to change. It's been fun to be a part of it.
That's really wonderful. And I definitely applaud you and Young MD Connect for hosting such a great course. I think that everyone could benefit from that. And I wish it were around when I had been a resident and young grad. Okay, so I think we're getting to the baby photos now of Devin.
This is my little guy. This is Devin. Devin is 2. He just turned 2 a week ago, August 2nd. And he's amazing and also a monster because he's 2. Raj, I'm sure you're going through the same thing. And it is so fun. We take him everywhere we go. He's a ball of energy. He never stops. He's literally the Energizer Bunny, and it's great.
Oh, very cute. Yes, they are joys. All right. And then you did your residency at the Shea Eye Institute?
Yeah, I did my residency at Shea at the University of Pennsylvania, where I had fantastic mentorship and made some unbelievable friends. The photo on the top left and the bottom left and the bottom middle feature my dog Coco, who is a Mexican hairless dog. She has no fur on her body except for the mohawk on her head. And my wife Morgan is a veterinarian, so we're always surrounded by a rotating cast of characters. And we took a trip down to Mexico City and met Coco and fell in love and took her home. And she continues to freak out every single person who sees her. And you can see the bottom left photo there. That's Steve Orland, who is like my biggest mentor in the cornea world. He was my mentor in residency. And his face looking at Coco just says it all.
It does. Well, at least I think we're going to be heading into your fellowship discussion, which will nicely segue into your talk.
So my fellowship was at Vance Thompson Vision. It was a fellowship in cornea, refractive, glaucoma, and anterior segment, complex anterior segment. And it was an unbelievable year, not just because of the surgical experience and the clinical experience, but the whole package of being a part of a practice, a private practice that functions at such a high level and prioritizes not just the patient experience, but the staff experience as well, and holds themselves to the highest degree of excellence when it comes to research and clinical medicine as well as surgery. It was an unbelievable experience where I met some of my favorite people on the planet who I remain connected to, thankfully, and took part in some unbelievable research. And I miss that place every single day.
Aw. Well, it's a true testament. And we know that Vance Thompson is one of the kings of patient experience. So we're so excited to hear more about what you have to share and what you learned.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to share this knowledge with you guys. This is all knowledge that is not my own. This comes from all the people who taught it to me. And this stemmed mostly from the Vance Thompson Vision crew. And that expanded into so many people, including people on this panel, have taught me so much. So we're going to talk about transforming the patient experience in an anterior segment practice. But this applies to any type of practice. Our goal is to create an unforgettable experience. And we know that you only have one opportunity to make that first impression. So where do we make the impression? Of course, when we walk into the room with the patient, we want it to be a good experience. But think about how many things happen before we get there. This is the patient experience cycle. And where does it start? Let's say that you are a patient seeing your optometrist, and your optometrist says, "Sir, you have a visually significant cataract, and I need you to go see Dr. So-and-so." You may sit back and say, "Who the heck is that?" Your first question is, how do I find out who that is? And what you do is you Google them. And the first thing that happens when you Google them is it pops up with their reviews. And this is the first pearl. It is critical to maintain a good review system. It used to be that patients would review you on ZocDoc or Yelp, but it's not that way anymore. Google reviews is the most robust way that people visualize reviews of anything now, and that includes their doctors. So make sure that you have a system in place to ask patients for reviews, but thoughtfully, not annoyingly, and specifically only asking those patients that are going to give you a good review. So there are different systems in place. Our practice will send a message to each patient after the visit to ask them how their visit went. And if they internally rate us a 4 or a 5, it immediately pushes them on to Google reviews. This is a great way to build your Google review presence. When I first started my practice exactly 1 year ago today is my 1-year anniversary in practice, I had no reviews. And patients would come to me and they would say, I didn't know if I could trust you because nobody talked about you. Nobody gave you any reviews. So it is so critical to build these reviews. But then what happens next? What happens after they find your reviews? They then go to your website. And this is the second piece. It is absolutely critical that you maintain a pretty, pristine, clean, and easy to navigate website because patients will evaluate your practice based on what they see here. They haven't had the chance to meet you yet. They haven't had a chance to even call you yet, but they're already judging you based on your reviews and based on your website. So keep that up to date. And it's important to update it every couple of years. You don't want to get stuck with your website looking like it was made on a 90s Angel Fire website. You don't want it to look like it was on Zanga. This is 2022. Every couple of years, we want to update these things. And here comes the first in-person pearl, scheduling. How many times have you called a practice to schedule an appointment and you immediately get thrown into a phone queue? Somebody answers and they say, "Please hold." And you're stuck. And you're not sure where you're stuck. You're just stuck somewhere. And you hope that somebody's going to pick up that phone, but sometimes it just hangs up on you. That is a great way to turn a patient away, especially when you're doing premium surgery, whether that's premium cataract surgery or refractive surgery, because these are elective things. Patients are going to find you and they're going to follow through if you make it convenient for them. But if you put obstacles in their way, they're going to drop off. So make sure that when it comes to scheduling, the person who answers the phone with a smile. It makes a huge difference when you answer the phone, "Hello," versus "Hello." There's a big difference there, and the patient can feel that. And when it's a real human on the other end, they feel connected already. But here is the first place to really connect. Let's say a patient goes and they see their doctor and they're told, "You might be a good candidate for LASIK. Go see Dr. Shafer for LASIK." Or "You have a cataract. Go see him for cataracts." Or "You have this thing called Fuchs dystrophy. Go see him for a DMEC." Patients leave that visit, first of all, confused, concerned, and wondering, what did he just tell me? They've looked at your reviews. They've looked at your website. They've gotten scheduled. But now you have a real opportunity to connect with this patient. You can send this patient some personalized content of your own. It is not that difficult to make videos and send them to the patient. So let's say you schedule a cataract evaluation with me. As soon as we see that it's scheduled, you get a video. What is cataract surgery? Now you have a sense of what cataract surgery is, But not just having the information is key here, having the whole experience of meeting your doctor virtually. The patient can see you, the way that you phonate, the way that you gesticulate, the way you talk, and your mannerisms. Make that patient feel more comfortable so that when you walk through the door, they already kind of know you and they feel connected to you. So I'd like to start by asking you, Dr. Toyos, how do you connect with your patients before a visit? How do you make them feel like they're important before you've even met them?
I think these are all great points. I think for me, I love your enthusiasm. You're 1 year in, I'm about 25. And so one of the ways that we connect with our patients before the visit is our reputation, right? We've been in certain places for 25 years. We moved to New York about 7 years ago. And a lot of it is really just word of mouth. So we don't do videos that we send out, but I think that's a great idea because I think the newer generations connect only through videos. And I think attention spans are relatively short. And I agree with you. I think front desk people are key, and having somebody, a front desk manager, to manage the flow of people to make sure no one's sitting for too long is a great way to connect. Now, we have a lot of celebrity clients, both in New York and Nashville. My husband took care of some of the pro teams in Nashville and in Memphis. We give out our cell phone number. I'm curious as if the other doctors do that as well, but we're kind of known for giving out our cell phone number. And sometimes, it gets a little bit tedious, but our patients do know that they have that connection.
That's all really helpful. And having that experienced practice definitely does help with the word of mouth. And I can't wait until that exists. But at this point, it's in the building phase. And I look forward to being where you are one day. How about you, Raj, Dr. Zaldivar? How do you guys connect with your patients before visits?
Yeah, I was thinking on your approach, and I really love it. I think we have been doing lots of telemedicine, but it's not exactly the same you are doing. I'm doing it after a first visit, so I'm connecting after. You're anticipating. My question to you, Brian, would be, how do you select exactly, for example, if it's a patient that might be a candidate for refractive surgery and having so many techniques, are you sticking to one technique? Are you doing a full comprehensive portfolio of surgeries? How do you do that?
So my video on refractive surgery is just that. It's a thank you so much for choosing us for your refractive surgery need. We're going to talk about all sorts of procedures when you're here. We have LASIK, PRK, ICL, RLE, and these are all acronyms you don't need to know about, but trust me, we're going to go through them when you come through the door. And I give them just a little taste of it because, as you know, so many patients, you have a 55-year-old patient walks through the door expecting LASIK and you suggest RLE for double the price. Sometimes they feel like you're trying to pull one over on them, and that's not the reality. You're just trying to do what's best for them. So yes, having just a touch of each mentioned in there is really helpful.
I love it. I think it's really useful, and it's a great approach. I'm going to start right now, next week, doing some videos.
You can borrow mine, Raj. They're free for use. They're all on YouTube. How about you, Dr. Chang? How about you, Dr. Chang? In Hong Kong, are you guys implementing anything before the visits?
No, we're doing all the things you say we shouldn't do, so we will change. No, I've been in practice for about 30 years, so fortunately I do have word of mouth as well. Our staff is very friendly. We try our best to fit them in. When they come, they see a video of all the different procedures. They talk to our staff, who are well versed because they have a lot of experience with this. We do have a broad, spectrum. We have Smile, we have LASIK, we have Presby LASIK. We have very broad spectrum. So it gets confusing, but our staff is very good. They see the patient and they explain everything before they come to me. So we're kind of more concentrating on the meeting the patient and their experience while they're here. We don't do as much because we've been lucky that we do have word of mouth. We have happy patients going home, referring other friends, because we're pretty established.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think Brian's point is very important here, because despite all of us, and I'm happy because of course of my father and my grandfather used to be an ophthalmologist too. We do have a lot of, but the fact that the patient comes with some knowledge and understanding a little bit their situations might speed up all the selecting process, and I think in terms of anxiety and everything, it might work. I think you do have a very nice point that we should bear it in mind in the future. Good.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. It gives me a lot to think about, especially in the context of an established practice versus a new practice, and building a new practice in the age of 2022. It does feel different. So then,
yes, sorry, can I just say, you're right, because we do have a little thing called a little red book in China. And a lot of people get on that little red book because a lot of patients have an experience and they actually comment on it, how the experience and the results and everything. A lot of people refer to that.
Interesting.
Yes.
And is that a virtual thing? Is that online?
Yeah, it's on the internet. You just go on your cell phone as one of the apps. So you want to do something, I want to do refractive surgery. Then you just get onto this little red book. Then you have all the comments from different patients. They'll recommend doctors, and they'll say that, they'll talk about the experience. So that's also very useful.
Fascinating. So let's say we're finished with the pre-visit correspondence and it's time to show up to your visit. This is now your first time to make that in-person impression. Now, I have eliminated the word front desk from my vocabulary, and instead I call Shannon, who works at my front desk, I call her my first impressions person. And she is just that. She's my first impressions, and she is phenomenal at it. Because the second you walk through that door, she greets you with a smile, says hello, lets you know she cares. At least in America, I can think of so many doctor visits that I've gone to where I've walked up to the front desk to check in. There's a person on their phone. I walk up with a smile and they say, "I hate you, you're ugly, give me your insurance card and get off your cell phone." How common is that experience in America, right? You walk up and they're just miserable. And it puts you off immediately. And it is an unbelievably simple opportunity to have a different experience there and be greeted with a smile. And by calling the person who works at your front desk first impressions, it puts in their mind that that's their job. I only refer to her as that. And even when somebody says to me that she's front desk, I respond with first impressions. And, people are going to talk no matter what. So just keep doing the right thing and they're going to eventually fold to it, hopefully. And that has been really helpful in even just shaping her mind as to what her job description is. Now comes this next critical piece, the workup. Now the workup is the workup, right? You're going through, you're getting your imaging, you're getting your vision pressure dilated, whatever. It's the same everywhere. But the trick is that during this time, instead of just shooting the pentacam, the technician can talk to this patient and get to know the patient a little bit, not necessarily just for them to bond with the patient, but so that they can leave me these little notes. They can figure out what this patient does for an occupation or what sort of career they had before they retired, if they were in the military, what their hobbies are, if they have any grandkids. These are pieces of information that arm me so that the second I walk into that exam room, I know that their grandson just turned 4 and they celebrated in the Outer Banks. And that immediately grabs them. So that workup is not wasted time. If you had this brilliant idea to try and minimize the wait time for baggage claim. So what they did is they took baggage claim and they put it right in the gate. So let's say you get right off the airplane, baggage claim is right there, and all you have to do is wait for your bags to get off and you're right there with your bags. And what do you think happened? People got off the airplane and they waited and waited and waited for that stupid thing to start revolving for their bag to come. And they're just sitting there mindlessly waiting. And they got so many complaints. So some brilliant people came up with the idea to take baggage claim and move it a mile down the airport. So now you get off the airplane, you walk almost a mile, good 20 minutes until you get to baggage claim. And by the time you get there, your bag is spinning in circles. So your wait time effectively went away because you were in transit the whole time. This is the key to maximizing the waiting experience, because waiting is going to happen. If you dilate someone, they're going to wait, period. But you can use that time to connect with the patient. First, you could either bring the patient into the room more quickly and start your conversation while waiting for them to dilate. Go through all of the options of refractive surgery because you've already looked at all of your pictures. You kind of have a general sense of where you're going. And then you're just making sure that they don't have lens opacities or a retinal detachment. Or if you really truly need them to wait, play some more videos for them. I think a lot of you probably utilize that in your practice, showing videos. But I'm curious, I'm going to start with you, Raj. How do you guys optimize the wait time?
I haven't listened your talk before, but I'm so impressed because it's so many of the things that you are doing, we have been doing in the last years, and we really do emphasize a lot in the patient experience, and waiting time is one of the most important things that we try to tackle. So videos is one. We have our own coffee area there with very nice like food and stuff. We have like a place with like a store to buy regional stuff. So people coming from other places, other provinces, they go there and they see nice wool and stuff. So we have a museum inside. Lots of things that we try the patient to go through them and to spend some time and as you said, to get at some point distracted while you are moving as fast as you can with the regular flow. But it's a whole strategy. It's a strategy, and you need to be watching all the patients and see who are getting a little bit more annoyed and try. And we have an assistant only visualizing that and at some time articulating that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Those are all great things that gives me ideas to incorporate. We've really put aside food and drink since COVID, but it's probably time to let people drink coffee again.
Yeah. Well, one thing that very quickly that we have been working, because this all what I have told you is to at some point distract a little bit, make it nicer for the patient while you have the time that you're losing there. We are working more now prospectively. We are developing a very, very interesting software called Revey. Of course, I have financial interest. I'm the CEO and everything, but just letting you know, because we are working on this. It's a whole platform, digital health. And one of the apps that we have created is a flow simulator. One is a flow simulator. The other one is a flow customizer. So you start customizing every single patient flow depending on who's the doctor, what is the age of the patient, what is the pathology. So we start nailing smaller and smaller time frames for each patient, and we have improved consistently in the last couple of weeks while we have been doing this. So hopefully you will have it soon in all your countries, guys. But we are working on this as a software as a service mainly.
Thanks for all you do, Raj. I can't wait for that. Dr. Chang, how do you maximize your wait time?
We actually spend a lot of time talking to the patients. We give them an iPad. I'm a hospital-based practice, so we have other specialties. And a lot of people would, while they're waiting for the refractive surgery, first they go through all the information about, ICLs, LASIK, things like that. And then they could go to other areas of interest. We also have pamphlets about glaucoma and things like that. And then we also have a TV showing, the news and everything. We keep them mostly informed. Whatever they want to know about, they can have the iPad and find whatever information they want. And we actually we separate the refractive patients as much as we can from the other patients. That's something we find is quite important, because the refractive, they're usually young patients who's not seeing too well. You know what I mean? It kind of scares them a little bit. So they like to be, you get a group of very young people together So we try to do that. It's very waiting time. When you're waiting with similar people in your age, it's much more important because if you have somebody walking out of the room with a stick, it doesn't feel good for somebody who's just for refractive surgery.
That's a very interesting point. Very true. My practice is multi-specialty, and fortunately, my office is just my only anterior segment. But within my practice, we have robust retina care, and a retina waiting room is drastically different from a refractive surgery waiting room.
Yes.
Good point. I didn't even consider it. This all brings up the great saying that the patient, it's not wrong, but in my opinion, it's really not the full truth. The real truth is that the staff comes first. Because if you put the staff first and you pour your love into that staff, pour that love right back into the patient. When they pour love into the patient feels like they came first, and then you all win. To the first moment that you actually get to meet this patient. Look at all we went through in this patient experience before you actually walk through the door. You had so many opportunities to nail it before you could nail it yourself, but you rely on your staff to do so. And your staff is only going to do that if they know that you love them. In general, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. This is a saying that I learned from John Berdahl, and he says he learned it from his grandma, but I've heard it elsewhere. So either his grandma is a total sage or it just entered the commonplace, but it is an amazing saying because it's the truth. If you walk in with a smile and you walk up to the patient and do something that has been lost, you touch the patient, you touch them on the shoulder and you say, Mrs. Jones, I'm so happy to see you. That patient is yours. It makes a huge difference, just that simple act of touch. The doctor visit is the easiest part of building the patient experience because it's you. You only need to change yourself. Everything else on here, you have to help people do it. And that leads you to the time they walk out. This is usually the same person as my first impressions person. She goes to check them out and she often gives them a little piece of candy. They've got a little candy jar there. At Vance Thompson Vision, they have freshly baked cookies baking in the waiting area, and they give them those cookies on the way out the door. And it's just a nice touch because when they see the wrapper in their car later that day, they're not annoyed that there's a wrapper. They're amazed at the experience that they had going to the doctor. And that leads to the final piece before they start leaving you reviews. And that's the post-visit correspondence. After every single procedure, I send the patient a text message. Like Dr. Toyos mentioned, giving your number to patients is a little bit dangerous sometimes, but I think it makes a world of difference. And most patients don't take advantage of it. Some will, but most won't. And the key here is that you can't just do it after the first eye. This is a cataract surgery patient. Great job today. It's Dr. Shafer. Blurry and scratchy is all normal. It'll get better day by day. See you tomorrow. The person responds, you are the best. Thank you. 2 weeks later, I did their other eye. Great job again. As you remember, blurry and scratchy is all normal. See you tomorrow. So simple for me to say that. And here is what made me feel so good. They responded, thank you. You have an awesome team, doctor. They didn't say anything about me. They said my team was awesome. And that makes me feel so good because it means that we succeeded. So Dr. Chang, how do you make patients feel special after your visit with them?
I think one thing you've said, I'd like to stress that is I'm very, I try my best to be very good to my staff. I think your staff is your biggest value, and you need to treat them well. I buy them drinks, I take them out on boat trips, I connect with them, and they're happy, and when they do and then when they go out and they have fun together, they come back, they're friends, and they work much better with each other. And I think I really like to stress that you got to have a happy working environment. I never tell my patients off. unless they deliberately make a mistake. Nobody deliberately makes a mistake. Nobody wants to make a mistake. So to me, I think the staff has to be very happy. Like you said, you have them feeling warm, and then when they treat the patients, they treat them well as well. So I really like to stress that, how important that is. When the patients come back, we check them again. If they're just refractive or just cataract, I minimize the wait time. Again, is wait time. If they come in and they have a short wait time, they can quickly get out. I think that's probably the biggest thing they would like. And we also, when they come in and, when they do the visual test, we tell them, wow, we don't lie to them, but you're seeing 20/20. You're seeing really well. How do you feel? We also make phone calls post-op to call the patient and, how are you doing? You have any problems? You have any questions? We do that post-op call. So yes, they feel like they are being looked after, not at any time, that they have a problem. I don't give them my number, but we do have a hospital number they can call in, and the operator will call me if there is a problem. I like to have that little bit of a distance, because it just, if you give them your number, some people will really take advantage of it and message you, 10 times a day. And, sometimes you're busy with other patients or other things.
It's very true. There is definitely a double-edged sword to it. I'm curious your thoughts. The newer generations, including the baby boomers being the new cataract generation, are much more savvy with text message.
Correct.
I remember in training, my mentors would call everybody and always emphasize, give them the phone call. But I've found that I get a lot more response out of text messages now, because who doesn't know how to text? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we send text messages to remind them of the appointment, but no, we like to be more of a personal touch. So we like to actually call the patient and answer the questions. I think, we feel that the patient feels a lot safer and they can ask a lot more questions, and saves a lot of time, actually, because talking is quicker than messaging.
Raj, what are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of agree with you in this one. I'm much more comfortable with texting. I find myself uncomfortable with phone calls and stuff, and most of the stuff is just sending a text after, same like you. And I'm doing the same actually with some patients, not all of them, but basically with the ones that I'm taking care personally. I just text them, and it's something that they really love. But every single patient in the clinic gets a text message the same day of the surgery saying exactly what you say. You will feel some uncomfort, some discomfort, put the tears, cover your eye for sleeping, see you tomorrow, great sleep. And they love it. They always are very grateful with that. Other thing that we do, same as Vance, that I understand that you have absorbed absolutely everything. Good for you, because he's the real king of patient experience. Is after the whole procedure of surgery, and after the patient is happy and everything, on the third day, we give them a gift to the patient. We used to give them a gift that was a wine with the Zaldivar brand, something that we tailor made for the clinic, to say, once you are comfortable with your friends, enjoy this, and you will remember us and the great memories that we have, which is a very nice way of bonding, and at some point bringing the conversation of yourself again in a nice atmosphere. I know Vance gives them like a special silver coin. Okay, whatever makes the patient happy and makes the patient think about you and bring your conversation and the happy moments that you have provided, I think is positive.
Fantastic. Well, we're coming to the end here. And the big key in optimizing the patient experience is to leverage all unfair advantages you have as long as it's not hurting anybody else. If you have the ability to empower a staff to build out this patient experience, do it. If you have the ability to have somebody on your staff who's really good at texting, or someone who's really good at videography, my marketing coordinator, Nick, is a fantastic videographer. I'm definitely going to utilize that because it's going to fill up his cup while filling up the practice's need of building the patient experience. And if you continue to build on the patient experience, you'll continue to bring in some high profile people like this gentleman right here, Mark Zubin, 4-time now Emmy winner, who has won 4 Emmys for TV technology. He's the person responsible for making it possible for a holographic version of Tupac to attend Coachella a few years ago. And this person came to us after seeing reviews, finding our website, having a successful phone call, getting a video telling him what his story was going to be like, coming to the front and having a great first impression by Shannon, being worked up by my technicians who told me all this information about him, having a very fruitful wait time, followed by a great patient encounter with his doctor. Then he checked out and got a little treat. He got a text message after his surgeries, and he was happy as could be. And these patients will share their knowledge and their experiences with everybody else, and that will start to build your practice. Thank you guys so much.
Fabulous. Brian, I swear to God, this has been one of the best episodes I've seen because it really relates to so many people across the world. And all of us face the same challenges. All of us have the same patients. You know, there are the ones who don't complain. There are the ones who complain. And there's always going to be this debate around how do you make the experience good enough for everybody? But I mean, the points you brought up and the way that you've systematically gone about decoding them or, you know, stripping them off has been really exceptional. I think a lot of people who are watching this or going to watch this in the reruns are really going to take home, you know, even 10% of what you're doing. If they're able to put it into their practice, I think we're all winners in many ways. And, you know, I saw people over here 25 years, 30 years into experience, and you know, and you know, we'll probably take a little bit of what you've been doing, and I'd like to hear a little bit from the celebs. We've obviously learned a little bit from what the young guns are doing nowadays, and so I call myself in the older generation because I started young. That's all. Don't the other way. But yeah, anybody wants to comment on what did they take home?
I loved your lecture. I really loved. We were supposed to give advices and stuff, and we were actually learning from you and from the things that you are doing. So I'm very grateful for being here. If I can add something, and sorry if I insist in the same. I think the mindset that you have brought tonight is amazing. We need to think in every single step of the patient. Every single step has to be improved and optimized. And there are going to be many things that are human factor, many things. I love the way you spoke about your own people, your collaborators, not employees, the people that are surrounding you are the most important. I fully agree. But I do think that there is a very important role in these next years in everything related to software and digitalization. We can improve every step that we are doing, not only in our flows, web check-in. Think all the time that we can avoid of patients' time sitting in the front row in the desk. Again, mentioning again all the data that you can be perfectly doing it online. We can have automatic anamnesis. Take the most of the information, grab the most from it once they are comfortably at home with an iPad, filling everything, and you avoid, again, losing that time in the clinic. So we can think in every single process, and I can promise you that there is something interesting to do from a software as a service. I think there is where we are going to spend a lot of time in the next couple of years.
Thank you, Roger.
I think that's a fabulous point. 15 years ago at my other practice, we were high volume cataract, LASIK. It would be pretty typical for me to see 50 to 60 people per day. And one of the ideas that we threw out was the check-in iPads. And I don't know if anyone is doing that now, but one of our thoughts were that the older generation might not be as fluent with electronics. And so we kind of tabled that idea for a while. I think now with the worker shortage that we're having in the States, I think anything that we can automate would be helpful. And I think we're revisiting those ideas again. You know, where can we automate those steps? People are great, and that personal touch is phenomenal. I love enthusiasm you're doing, Brian, and we have a group of people, but in Nashville, we have a lot of workers that kind of cycle through. They're waiting for their record contract, right? They might not want to work in an eye care place for a really long time. So I think we're trying to see where we can automate, make things smoother, make things easier, do forms online so that we can optimize that process.
Fabulous pearls, Melissa. John.
Yeah, well, that really was a great talk. Wonderful. I learned a lot from that too. I'm just interested because one thing to me also is quite important is in the operating room where the fear factor is. I asked my patients the next day, did it hurt? How painful was it? And what was the most fearful part of your whole procedure from, checking in to checking out? And I asked them the question, how scared were you? What was the most fearful part? And I actually make a point of being at that point, being there for the patient and saying something so that, that's the scariest part of the whole thing is the surgery day. And I'd be very interested in how Brian does and the other celebrities. What do you do on the day of surgery to minimize, make most patient comfort or minimize their fear and, make it a at least not so uncomfortable experience?
Yeah, John, this is such a critical piece, and I didn't even jump into the ASC portion because it is a whole different thing.
Sure.
But
yeah,
the biggest thing that I do is when I go and I see every single patient, I do that secret thing that we don't do as often anymore, and I touch them on their shoulder, and I tell them, "I got you." I must say that line 20 times a day. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
And that often will just put them at ease because they know that I'm there on their team, and whatever comes up, we got it.
Sure.
Stunning. Absolutely great points. And I think we all must do something on those lines as well. And I think the ASC part, all the points that all of you guys have made are so beautifully crafted. It feels like a really structured one, even though I know we didn't have a briefing on this, but it's been exceptional. This episode has been beautiful in every way. I just definitely want to say thank you to all my celebrity panelists for being here today and, giving out your pearls. Brian, fabulous job. And we look forward to seeing what all you have in store for us and over the years. Okay. To our sponsors, thank you, everybody. And more important, backbone of this whole thing has been Bill, Trattler, and Laura. So thank you from wherever you're watching. Jen, it cannot be done without you. So thank you so much for being here and supporting me through this. All right. We will see you guys in the next episode. That will be next month. We'll keep you posted on that on our social media platforms. Sayonara, signing out. Thank you. Good night. I mean,
Thank
for you
all
guys.
so much.
Good morning.